Good evening. I'd like to call the Wednesday, November 9th, 2016 school board meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Ayres. Here. Egan.
Here.
Ms. Hazard.
Here.
Ms. Healy. Here. Mr. Hirons. Ms. Kidby. Here. Mr. McOsker.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum?
Thank you. Do I have, actually, we will start with our invocation. If I would ask if everybody would rise, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance and the colors presented by Boy Scout Troops 63.
Color guard advance. Color guard attention. Color guard right face. Scout salute. Hand over heart. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
to color guard left face. Color guard retreat.
Thank you. You all may be seated. I would like to thank our Boy Scout Troop 63 who came this evening. Robert Purinton was our senior patrol leader. We had Alexander Stump, Anthony Sampson, Cody Sampson, Thomas Cho, Cole Tully, Austin Thibodeau, Jeremy Jones, Skylar Noel, Joseph Swanson, and Preston Faltz. I always enjoy that we have that as part of our meeting this evening. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Do we have an add-on?
No, we're going to do it during Superintendent.
Okay, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comment? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. I will now turn over our awards and recognition time. I will be recognizing at this time Ms. Cherie Johnson, our Director of Strategic Communication and Community Engagement, for presentation of awards.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Benson. It is my pleasure to announce the employees that have provided anywhere from 25 to 50 years of service to Stafford County Public Schools. These are employees representing all areas of service in the division, and tonight we say thank you for all that you have accomplished and all that you will continue to accomplish in the future. We will announce the employees in categories of years with 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50, and take a picture of each group. We would also like to take a moment to recognize several of our Board of Supervisors here tonight joining us, which include Mr. Gary Snellings, Jack Cavalier, Laura Sellers, and Wendy Maurer. At this time, I would like to ask our employees with 25 years of service to come forward as I call your name as we present you with the service pins. We'll begin with 25 years. First, Brenda Young, Hartwood Elementary School. Catherine Massey, Head Start. Michelle Darley, Colonial Forge High School. Joy Steele, Colonial Forge High School. Teresa Aberg, Human Resources. Thomas Clark, Mountain View High School. Mark Hughes, Mountain View High School. Todd Welker, Mountain View High School. Mary Foreman, Stafford Elementary School. Jennifer Bletcha, Gale Middle School. James Clore, Transportation. Vicky Parks, Garrisonville Elementary School. Angela Harding, Rodney Thompson Middle School. Jacqueline Erickson, Transportation. And this is our group for 25 years of service. I'll step out of the way for a picture. Thank you. Next up, we have our 30 years of service. Mary Southall, Brook Point High School. Patricia Benton, North Stafford High School. Barbara Geese, Rocky Run Elementary School. Leah Rogers, Stafford High School. Karen Uber, Moncure Elementary School. Charma Carr, Stafford Elementary School. Deborah Dixon, Transportation. Barbara Lancaster, Transportation. And this is our group for 30 years of service. Thank you. And moving to 35 years, Arlene Bandudis, A.G. Wright Middle School. And Les Sexton, Drew Middle School. Only 2 for that category. For 40 years of service, Hazel Terry, Transportation. All right. Next up, for 45 years of service, we have Betty Fitzhugh with Garrisonville Elementary School, and I'm told that Betty actually has been here for 49 years. And last but certainly not least, with 50 years of service, Mr. James Andrews from Stafford High School. And you know,
Haven't aged a bit.
That's awesome.
all right. And you know, out in the hallway, I asked Mr. Andrews, 50 years, what keeps bringing you back year after year? And he's like, I love the kids.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
that
Jim
simple.
does.
Thank you to all of the employees for their service to SCPS. Thank you so much.
Good job.
While we do some transition, I would like to invite Ms. Ayres to come down to the podium. If everybody could leave quietly, we're going to continue with our meeting, please.
Okay, this is a resolution to recognize Melissa Ayres' contributions to Stafford County Public Schools. Whereas Melissa Ayres has served as the school board representative from the Griffiths-Widewater District since her appointment on May 31st, 2016, and whereas the Stafford County Public School Division is fortunate to have citizens willing to serve their school community when a vacancy arises, and whereas Ms. Ayres immediately volunteered to serve as a member of the school board standing committees and advisory committees where vacancies existed. And whereas Ms. Ayres served on the newly created Governance Committee and on the Finance and Budget Standing Committees. And whereas Ms. Ayres served as the school board representative to the Fine and Performing Arts Advisory Committee and the Parks and Recreation Commission. And whereas Ms. Ayres attended many events in her capacity as the Griffiths-Widewater School Board member, including commencement and the summer graduation ceremony at Brook Point High School. And whereas the school division extends our utmost appreciation for the work that she has done in support of education in Stafford County, and believes she will continue her service to Stafford County Schools in the coming years as a member of various committees and work groups. Now therefore be it resolved at their meeting on November 9th, 2016, that Stafford County Public School Board and the school division express profound appreciation to Ms. Ayres for her dedication to Stafford County Public Schools and all the children and families served by our schools, and wish her well in all her future endeavors. And further, that this resolution of appreciation and support be duly recorded within the minutes of the Stafford County School Board.
At this time, we would like to bring up Ms. Kristen McKinney-Nash, principal at Widewater Elementary School, to say a few words about school board member Melissa Ayres.
On behalf of the Griffiths-Widewater District, Mrs. Ayres, we'd like to thank you for your service over the past 5 months. We appreciate your time, participation, and contributions in making Stafford County Public Schools a better place for our students. And on a personal note, we look forward to your continued service as a parent to a Widewater Wildcat. Thank you.
Good. All right. Mrs. Kidby, it is your turn to come down front, please.
Okay, Nanette.
You're in the hot seat. Perfect. Thank you. I forgot those. I will not be reading it for that reason.
And Madam Chair, we have a resolution to recognize Nanette Kidby's contributions to Stafford County Public Schools. Whereas Nanette Kidby has served over 7 years as the school board representative from the Garrisonville district from 2006 to 2009, and she loved it so much she came back in 2012 through 2016, both as an elected and appointed school board member. And whereas Ms. Kidby has been actively involved as a parent and grandmother of a combination of 6 Stafford County Public Schools students at Park Ridge Elementary School, H.H. Poole Middle School, and North Stafford High School. And whereas the Stafford County Public School Division has been fortunate to have such a dedicated school board member committed to the students, families, and staff of the school division. And whereas Ms. Kidby's perspective stemming from her experience as an educator in the classroom for many years and her background in finance were helpful and instrumental in many school board decisions. And whereas Ms. Kidby's passion and commitment to students with special needs and for her heart for doing right by people was always appreciated. And whereas Ms. Kidby presided as chairman of the school board in 2014 and 2015 during a time of change and transition of superintendents, and whereas Ms. Kidby's unwavering commitment to financial accountability was demonstrated by her support of and service on the recently created Finance and Budget Standing Committee. And whereas Ms. Kidby's commitment to good governance was demonstrated by her support of and service on the newly created Governance Committee. And whereas Ms. Kidby served as representative to the Head Start Policy Council from September 2013 to September 2015. And whereas Ms. Kidby has been instrumental and a driving force behind many of the school division's financial and budgeting initiatives. And whereas the school division extends our utmost appreciation for the work that she has done in support of education in Stafford County and wishes her the best as she moves west to explore this next chapter in her life. Now therefore be it resolved at their meeting on November 9, 2016, the Stafford County Public School Board and the school division express profound appreciation to Nanette Kidby for her dedication to Stafford County Public Schools and all of the students and families served by our schools, and wish her well in all future endeavors. And further, that this resolution of appreciation and support be duly recorded within the minutes of the Stafford County School Board.
I don't know if everybody saw the wonderful sign created. I'm sure Mr. Nichols or someone will tell us who created that, but it's a wonderful. Oh, Nanette, you can't leave that here either.
All right. At this time, we would like to bring up the following people to reflect on School Board Member Nanette Kidby. The list includes Ms. Carrie Neely, Chief Elementary Officer, Nancy Cole, Principal, Anthony Burns Elementary School, Gail Thiring, Principal, Hampton Oaks Elementary School, Ashley Hall, Assistant Principal, Park Ridge Elementary School, Rob Bingham, Principal, H.H. Poole Middle School, Scott McClellan, Principal, North Stafford High School, Mr. Tom Nichols, Chief Secondary Officer, and Ms. Becky Wardlow, Principal, Winding Creek Elementary School, accompanied by Ella Hecker, a first grade student.
Ms. Kidby, it's an honor to be before you tonight, and one of the things that I just wanted to recognize you for and show appreciation for on behalf of all the elementary schools in our division is the word all, and how even though you represented your district, and we know that's important to everyone, we know that you never lost sight that you were serving all children. We'll never forget that. And we wish you the best, and thank you so much for all your contributions.
Mrs. Kidby, on behalf of the Anthony Burns parents, students, and staff, we would like to say thank you for your strong and thoughtful leadership and dedication to Stafford County Schools. You've devoted your time, wisdom, and soul to our schools. You've made tough decisions based on what is best for children, not on politics or what was popular. Most of all, you provided a steadfast and fierce commitment to raising the achievement of all students. Your leadership and clear vision for the future will be your lasting legacy for the generations to come at Stafford County Schools. On this special occasion, we want to thank you for your many years of great leadership. You possess a rare combination of vision, mission, and understanding, critical qualities for an effective school board member. Many of us have additional personal reasons for our gratitude, for you have given special attention to specific needs. Without going into detail, we give you special thanks for your caring. We thank you for all that you have done and all that you have taught us, and send our very best wishes to you in all future endeavors. Thank you.
Mrs. Kidby, Nanette. I stand here representing a group of students, staff, and families that have benefited from your caring and wisdom during your time here at Stafford County. We appreciate your attention to the needs of our buildings, of our students, of the unique populations that have grown in our county, and our school particularly has benefited from that. On a personal note, I can't imagine having you not being up there, as I've watched you from afar, being in the southern end of the county, and have seen how you have benefited truly all students in Stafford County. And that's a very special thing for us to have, and you will be greatly missed by so many people here in Stafford County.
So on behalf of the students, staff, and families at Park Ridge, we would like to thank you for your commitment to our school. If there was ever a problem or an issue and we needed your support, you were there. Most specifically, we thank you for your support in getting our Patriot Path completed. Because of your commitment, we are now able to use that path in PE and recess, and also our community is able to access that as well. We wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Thanks again for your commitment to Stafford County Public Schools and the Patriots of Park Ridge Elementary School. We appreciate you.
Ms. Kidby, I'd like to take a moment to thank you for all the service you've done for H.H. Poole and our Stafford County community. I've been in a unique position to see all of the wonderful things that Ms. Kidby has done for this community as both a board member, a parent, a grandparent with students at H.H. Poole. I have firsthand knowledge of Ms. Kidby's devoted devotion to her family, to the school, and the community of Stafford County. My first memory of Ms. Kidby is during a parent-teacher conference where she showed tremendous determination and knowledge of the educational process and worked with teachers to make a better place for her children in the classroom. It's rare that I remember a parent-teacher conference 10 years ago, but I saw a woman that had a passion for her family, and I saw that same passion in everything she did for this county. Every challenge that is taken with such care and consideration, she wanted to know how decisions would connect and help the students in the classroom. Thank you, Ms. Kidby, for all you've done for H.H. Poole, for Stafford County. You will be dearly missed.
Okay, get your tissues ready. Miss Kidby, I'd like to start off with a quote. Education is not what I do, it's who I am. When Miss Kidby said these words, they summed up her approach as a member of the Stafford County School Board. And I think we can all agree that there is no doubt that you truly live by these words. So before you make your move out west, I'm here to say thank you. I say thank you from two perspectives. One is the principal of North Stafford High School, and the other as a parent of Stafford County students. I truly appreciate your dedication and support that you've provided to ensure the students of Stafford County receive the best education possible. Striving for this hasn't been easy. There have been countless meetings where you've been here all night, well past midnight. You've listened to a lot of people tell you how to do your job, and believe it or not, they were not always nice about it. However, you've always remained professional and focused on what's important, the students of Stafford County. You have been a true supporter of all-sensory teaching and learning and have worked tirelessly to support the needs of Stafford County school employees. Stafford County Public Schools has been blessed to have you as a school board member. On behalf of the faculty of North Stafford High School, I say thank you for your support that you've given us, and we wish you the best of luck as you head out west.
School board members, Dr. Benson, Mrs. Kidby. It is always an honor to have the opportunity to let others know just how supportive Mrs. Kidby has been to Stafford County Public Schools. However, tonight is certainly not one of those pleasure moments, as we have to recognize her in her departure from the Stafford County School Board. Her background in education, being a math teacher, has proved invaluable as she worked to understand and meet the needs of our students, parents, and community of Stafford County Public Schools. As a former principal of North Stafford High School, I had the opportunity to work closely with Mrs. Kidby as a representative of the Garrisonville district. There was never a time I found her unwilling to listen to any of our concerns. She did not just listen, though. She asked for the input from our staff, our parents, our students. She was frequently a visitor in our building, rarely failing to accept an invitation, whether to be dedicating a stadium, a field, checking out a new track, representing herself and the community at a band concert, or attending graduation where she sat through the heat to recognize the graduation of 400 plus students and wish them well in their future. Her small presence loomed large. With all that being said, Mrs. Kidby always had the greater picture in mind when voting her conscience. She made decisions based on what was best for all Stafford County Public School students, not just her voting district. She used her own experience as a parent, a teacher, to weigh on the heavy issues placed before her and the board, and was always willing to state her views. She never seemed to forget that she was in a position to serve and did not take that responsibility lightly. I know I speak for many others when I say Mrs. Kidby will be truly missed in Stafford County. She was an advocate, a resource, a supporter, and yes, sometimes a cheerleader. We wish her well in her new adventures, and we know that she will be greatly missed, and we know she'll be a great addition to the community in which she will reside. She's incapable of anything less. Mrs. Kidby, I appreciate all that you've done for Stafford County Public Schools and for allowing me to be the principal of some of your children as they went through. Thank you.
Mrs. Kidby, thank you. We appreciate all your dedicated service, and I'd like to introduce Ella Hecker, first grade student from Winding Creek Elementary, who I think can say it best for all of us.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Benson. My name is Ella Hecker, and I'm a student at Winding Creek Elementary School. Dear Mrs. Kidby, thank you for all your hard work to take care of all of us at the creek. Thank you for your time, your critical thinking, your communication, your creativity to keep us well. Best wishes to you from the Wolf Pack of Winding Creek.
You'll get your chance to speak. Moving on, we will move on to public comment. We have two public comments. We have a public hearing, which is first the citizens' input to the superintendent's recommended budgets. That will be the first public hearing. Then after that, it will be general public comments on any topic other than the budget. What I will do is I will be reading the opening that will apply to both public hearings in the interest of time. So let me do the intro, and then I know I have one name. Let me make sure which one it is for. Let's see if Mrs. Brown, is it on number 1 or number 2? Second, general, okay, I just wanted, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if I read better, I would get it. General, the other one, okay, I got it. Okay, sorry. So let me read first. The speakers shall identify themselves by name, address, and organizational affiliation if the spokesperson represents an organization. 3 minutes shall be allotted to speakers. As you will see, there is the red, yellow, and green. When we get to yellow, you have 1 minute. Red, your time has expired with 5 seconds to wrap up. The chairman reserves the right to restrict the total citizen comment received at any particular meeting to a predetermined maximum number of minutes with the approval of the board. Citizen comment which is profane, abusive, or which threatens imminent physical harm shall be ruled out of order by the chair. Although the board provides the opportunity for citizen comment, individuals desiring to register complaints against division employees or division programs, services, or activities may also utilize the procedures outlined in Policy 1113, Public Complaints. So we will start first with the public budget hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to address the board regarding that topic at this time? If so, please come forward. Okay, I see no rush to the podium, so I will close the first public hearing, and I will move on to our general citizens' comments. Mrs. Brown, if you'll come forward, and if there is anyone else who wishes to speak, if you will go ahead and line up behind Mrs. Brown, that would be great, and we will continue to move on. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dana Brown, 41 St. William's Way in Rock Hill. I'm starting to feel like a regular now. Just wanted to let you know, my 9th grade daughter came home today, and she informed me that she had 39 kids in her health class. Not enough desks, and they were standing and working at counters for their 90-minute block. Yet, at the same school, we have IB classes with 8, 9, and 12 kids in them, and no, these are not combined classes. There's something wrong with this picture. That we would have such disparity in the same school tells me that something's wrong with how we're populating our class sizes and deciding which classes we're going to offer. And I did attend your work session tonight for that very reason, regarding the much needed and very long overdue program evaluation. I think program evaluation is very emotional. It's kind of like redistricting. I will ask you to treat it the same way. Please use an uninterested third party with no dog in the fight, not administrators who owe each other favors. Rebecca, she's new, I don't know her last name, she had a very sound and a really good idea to initially farm it out to a university program where students need projects to complete their doctorates. It sounds like it might be free and objective. And I agree with Mr. McOsker, we need much better evaluation criteria than what's currently being proposed in your packet. Regarding cost, I disagree with what I heard tonight. I think cost is very important and it should be considered. If we have duplicative programs and all things are equal, cost is very important. We don't need to have the third most, highest expensive thing. We also need a strong cost-benefit analysis with a return on investment. And I'm assuming that when you referred to the AP, I think you meant APPX, not sure. APPX is that fake made-up program that we have that, doesn't exist in the real world outside of Stafford. So that's my comments on that. I also wanted to follow up on what I talked about 2 weeks ago, Skyping in the classroom when the kids are sick. Haven't heard anything on that. I've started talking about this since before school started. I want to get rolling on that if we're going to do it. I think we have no limitations in our IT department for that. Time's wasting, flu season's getting closer. And then the last thing was, I met a teacher in the salon the other day. I think she taught at Colonial Forge, not sure. And we talked about the homework load. And she thinks that the homework load, like I myself, thinks it's very heavy, and that's probably due, she thinks, to block scheduling. She said that for 90 minutes, that's not enough, she has not enough material to give the class. Their attention span is not that long, so they give a lot more homework than they would in a 7-period day. I don't know if that's something we're considering going back to. I've heard Prince William has got that on the table possibly, but I just thought I'd pass that along. And that's it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board at this time? If not, close public comment at this time. Next, we will move on to our board comments, starting with our student discipline report.
On October 20th, 2016, a committee of the board met to consider one student disciplinary matter. The committee suspended student A for 30 days out of school and off of the school bus for the remainder of the 2016-17 school year.
All right, moving on, we have board comments. Let's first start, are there any reports from any standing committees? I don't know if any had met, or any unfinished business from last time.
Madam Chair, I do just have one. I just want to make sure we were clear on, and staff has clear direction from the legislative committee. We talked about, from the 3-on-3 committee, the joint working group committee. I think, we gave a report last time, but I wasn't sure if we gave clear direction to staff. One of the things in that meeting, if you recall, was talking about shared services for risk management. And we wanted to make sure that staff had clear direction that we do want them as a board to begin working with county staff on shared services for risk management. Is there any?
I just have one alibi on the joint. Just a quick update on the joint committee. I talked to Mr. Cavalier, and you may know, Madam Chair, but they're getting pretty close to the contracting officer to actually starting to field individuals and on the most qualified list. And so hopefully that will start here soon, where I will go with Mr. Cavalier, and I don't know who else is going to be on the committee to make the selection. So I'm hoping that'll get done sometime before January.
Yeah, so
Since the risk management was, technically there's 3 members on there, I felt like we needed to have some kind of board consensus, just to make sure we were all.
I think at that night, we were all in agreement that, staff go forward, but I think it's appropriate to make sure that the entire board has the opportunity to object if they want to object or approve, to make sure, Dr. Benson, you have an understanding of staff expectation.
Pleasure of the board.
Yeah. In terms of just making sure we report out any of our work items from committee and then have full board buy-in, that's why I wanted to bring that particular item. So thank you. All right, we will move on to board comments. I will start. Let's see, who would like to start? Is it Egan? Would you like to start?
I don't have anything to say this meeting. If you can find that hard to believe, I'm sorry, but anyway, I'll defer.
Start at the top. Ms. Healy.
Well, I'd like to add my personal thanks to Mrs. Kidby. We've had our interactions, and I've learned a lot from Mrs. Kidby. The people that spoke tonight were absolutely accurate and true. She really does care. She has a tremendous background, and she has really brought a lot to this board, and I will personally miss you, Mrs. Kidby. You have challenged me over the years. And I hope that on many of the occasions I've risen to it, but I really admire and respect you, and I wish you well, as you move on, and I will miss you greatly.
Mr. McOsker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wow, what a wonderful time of year this is. Weather's getting a little chillier. Well, I like it anyway. And so many good things are happening around the school district, and the first thing I want to talk about very quickly is, our folks here at Stafford County Public Schools, you work so hard, from the teacher, the janitor, the folks at the school level, the leadership, to the support staff up here at the Bandy building, and everyone in between from transportation. And I just wanted to let you know that, I really recognize that, and I know the board does, recognize that hard work, that folks think you come in here at 10 and leave at 2. That's not what happens, okay? I come home from work late, and the cars are still in the parking lot here at 6:30 at night. I go to the schools, and the teachers are still grading papers and setting up for tomorrow, and the janitors are working overtime. And so I just want to say thank you so much for your hard work. It's not easy, especially if you're in the senior leadership staff. You come up here and you put a product in front of us and we kind of poke holes in it, or we try to, but we're really trying to make sure that it's a solid program or a process that'll get through. But so, I just want to let you know, it's a wonderful time of year. We're gonna see each other a few more times, and if you're a senior leader in this building, or a supervisor down at the school level, make sure that you pat your folks on the back, because that we always find things that we could do better, and we let people know that, some of us. But make sure we spend the time and pat your subordinates and your folks that you work with on the back, and say what a good job you're doing, because it counts. Because it counts. Ms. Ayres, thank you so much for the Griffiths-Widewater District. You represented your district so well. It was a pleasure working with you on the board, ma'am, and I hope to see you in the future. Ms. Ayres hit the ground running mid-cycle on the board, and you really did a wonderful job. So, sorry to see you go, and all the best to you. Godspeed. Ms. Kidby, what do I say? 7 years. I was writing some of this stuff down. Goodness gracious, 7 years on the board, which is, it's about 2 terms. The parent, grandmother, 6 kids, grandchildren. You've done just such a wonderful job being that senior executive leadership on this school board, Ms. Kidby. We're really going to miss you, and it's going to be a big hole we can't fill. There's going to be a lot of white space on that calendar of mine, and because I used to come to you for a lot of things. I know sometimes I say things sarcastically, and you'd look at me and you'd give me the Dewayne, and but and I needed that, but I just want to let you know that you're such a wonderful person, and you really do have a wonderful personality, and you did so much for the kids, and it really is all about the kids. Over your 7 years of tenure here on the board, and I'm going to really, really miss you, and just God bless to you and your family as you move back to Utah, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. And you can always call in to the board. I think we'll make a special thing. If you want to call in and give us a few pointers on finance, we would love that, actually.
Right.
We've got a new school board member coming in on the Griffiths-Widewater District, Miss Jamie Decatur. They fought a hard election. That's part of our business. And the people spoke, and Jamie's coming in, Miss Decatur's coming in here, and she'll be in here in what, a couple days, the next meeting? Next meeting she'll be in here, and so what a wonderful addition to the school board. Great job on the election, and I'm sure we're going to put you right to work when you get here. You're going to see the fun start. And lastly, I would like to thank the PIN recipients for their time and service. When you start thinking about the 25, there's always some, I always have that corny, that add up all the years. There's 2,000 years of experience. Well, there is 2,000 years of experience. And, with Jim Andrews and all those folks at 50 and 49 and 35, and it's just an amazing amount of time and effort put into a school division, which is not, we already discussed, is not an easy job. This is not an easy job we do. And to stick with it this long, is a true testament to their character, and how much they really love kids. Because it's hard coming to work sometimes. If you don't love kids, it's hard doing this job. All right, it is. And so, what a wonderful, wonderful start to tonight's evening. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Hirons.
Couple things first. This weekend, I'm going to be able to attend an Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Drew Goshorn. His Eagle project was building an outdoor classroom at Falmouth Elementary School. I'd hoped to give him some recognition and thanks for the work he did back when he, shortly after he completed. Unfortunately, his family had a few issues they had to work through, and we weren't able to get that scheduled. But I do look forward to celebrating his accomplishment with him and his family this weekend. So our two members, first, Ms. Ayres. A lot of folks don't necessarily know that she and I worked in the same office space for a short period before the seat came available, and I walked into the office one day and she said, "Hey, I'm applying for that school board seat." So, oh, okay. Great, that should make office talk interesting. Yeah, she came to the meeting and just really performed extremely well in her interview and was ready to hit the ground running. I really thank you for your time, for your volunteering, for your stepping up. And I know I don't have my doubts you might be back. We talked about these things. So, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for volunteering and working for your fellow citizens. Ms. Kidby. Ms. Kidby, thank you for your time that you dedicated to me early on in my service here on the school board. You were one of the first members I sought out to gather information, advice, and way forward from. And I really appreciate you taking the time, at least meeting with me one or two times, and visiting and talking about how work gets done around here. Couldn't ask for a better leader to provide that information, provide that way forward, and I really can't thank you enough for helping me get started in my service here on the school board. So thank you, and please enjoy your family, please enjoy your travels. I miss you. Thanks. Quick last thing is Veterans Day on Friday. Happy Veterans Day to all our veterans that service us here in the school division. I know several elementary schools or several schools are doing various veterans projects tomorrow in celebration. I look forward to going to Conway tomorrow morning and participating in their program. Of course, tomorrow morning I'll be proudly wearing my Marine Corps service pins and celebrating the birth date of our United States Marine Corps.
We were betting to see if you were going to move that in there. Ms. Ayres.
Good evening, Madam Chair, fellow board members, Dr. Benson. Words escape me, and being the daughter of a preacher's kid, that's probably not a good thing. Or maybe it is a good thing. Overall, I just want to say thank you. This is the last meeting for me in this term. And I want to say just thank you for everyone for being inviting and open and appreciative of what you do and conveying that to me and the way you did that. You all have passion, you all have dedication, you all have purpose, and you all have helped me discover another purpose that I can apply passion to. I definitely love my daughter and my little wildcat, sometimes emphasis on the wild, has given me that information to direct me to the school board and to be more focused in school. So that is one of the reasons why I did this. And I will definitely be a parent at Whitewater Elementary, but I will for sure be a supporter and someone who will provide information to the school board. And so you'll see me again. I want to say again congratulations as well to Jamie Decatur. She fought a good fight, and I think she will do well here. Once again, that the sponge is young, if you will, so feed it, give it information, and the same kind of direction and information you all gave to me. I would ask that you do that as well. Ms. Kidby, thank you so much for being you. And everything everyone has said here in the 5 months, there's no doubt, I have no doubt that it is true and for real, because from day one, that's how you were with me. So one thing that we Marines and some of us Navy folks say as well is fair winds and following seas. To you, my friend, enjoy your retirement.
I intend to.
It is a blessing that many do not get. So I do wish that for you as well. And please forgive me, Madam Chair. Happy 241st birthday to the beloved United States Marine Corps. Hoorah! Mrs. Kidby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't even know where to start, but it's been a pleasure to be on this board. Well, not always. Sometimes it's been a challenge. And I haven't always, as it should be, agreed with everyone on this board. And sometimes I've been just a little pushy, but sometimes that's what we need to do, right, Mr. McOsker? Yes, okay, right. I'm going to miss all of you. Maybe not as much as I should. I'm going to really enjoy being out west with my husband. We're going to buy some land and do the tractor thing and the horse thing, so it should be lots of fun. I'm really going to miss the staff. I have so much respect for the educators in this Stafford County Public Schools, and there's some that I know better than others. There's some that I have a special place in my heart because they've taught my children, and they've worked with my children, and they allowed my children to be successful. And whether you're a school board member, you're always a parent first, and I thank you profusely for the opportunity that you gave my children. I wasn't going to do this. I'd also like to thank Dr. Benson. When we first interviewed him, I'll never forget this, when we first interviewed him, we unanimously knew immediately that he was the guy that was going to move Stafford County Public Schools in the direction it needed to go. And there was no doubt in my mind. But what endeared me to Dr. Benson was after he'd been with us, a few days, I was at, I think it was a history fair of some kind that we had for the elementary students over at Colonial Forge High School. And I was walking around, and some of the students were dressed in colonial garb, and there was this little guy that was dressed like, I believe, George Washington. And I saw this guy kneeling beside him with this funky bow tie on, talking to this little boy about what he was presenting, which was a poster that he was very proud of that spoke about George Washington and his contribution. And this guy down on his knees talking to this little second or third grader that was dressed up like George Washington was Dr. Benson. And that's when I knew that not only Dr. Benson was going to be able to take Stafford County Public Schools to where it needed to go in relation to his expertise as a leader, but as a lover of children and understanding that it happens in the classroom. Thank you, Dr. Benson.
Ms. Egan, did you want?
I've already said my farewells to Mrs. Kidby, so I'm not going to rehash that because then I'm going to start getting emotional. But Mrs. Ayres, I just wanted to personally thank you for stepping up and doing what you've done. We really needed you in that spot under the circumstances that we were in, and so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. We know it's a tough job, and you give up a lot of your personal time to take care of this board. So thank you, appreciate it, and I expect to see you on some of those advisory committees in an at-large position. Awesome. Thank you.
I'll make a few remarks. I will try not to be long. I think what was amazing tonight, just in general, we've just gone through an election season that will be remembered for a long time. But at the end of the day, here we all were with a wonderful Boy Scout troop in here saying the Pledge of Allegiance together, united, which I think for me is what I think of also when I think of this school system. Dr. Benson has talked about, he was concerned when he first got here about this being a system of schools. We were individuals, but we are working towards being that school system. The neat thing about that is we have such talent here, but we also have talent among our citizens who want to get involved in our schools, whether it's baking cookies, whether it's pushing muffin carts, whether it's stuffing envelopes. Some of us BTO moms can remember these things. Sitting at a Xerox machine that, well, anyway, taking a long time, all those kinds of things. The neat thing about our country, but also about our county, is I think we are really united for our children. And the neat thing that I think I have found and seen in the last few weeks, and as we move into filling the Garrisonville seat, we don't have a lack of talent or leadership or people who love kids in our county. And I think the more we as a board can help bring those people to the forefront, the better. We can only have 7 board members, but we have so many other opportunities, hint, hint. But what I just want to say is that just became so apparent tonight. And so as I say goodbye to 2 women who have put in a lot of time, and Melissa, I want to say to you, thank you for jumping in, for being a parent who says, my daughter and all the kids in Stafford deserve my talents to come in here for whatever time that's going to be. That says a lot about our community, also about you individually, and it makes me very excited for the future. Like we've all said, we expect to see that name on certain things and coming forward, because there's a lot of great work started, but the way we get to the finish line is if we're all part of it. Nanette, you have been very helpful to me. You taught me math, which most of you know I can't stand. I have a daughter who takes after me, and she said, you can learn this. So I thank you so much for helping me and helping us keep very focused on that financial part. We all talk about the kids. Part of the reason I moved from, that was about you, that I needed to stand to the side, is I wanted to see your face when that young lady came up. I knew we were going to get you. Because that's what it was about. It is about the kids. And we aren't going to see many times the labors of our efforts. But they are out there. They're out in that community. And we just need to keep modeling it. I've had 2 great role models to serve with me. I wish you both the best. Nanette, please come back and visit us. Maybe when we open a new school. Come back for Moncure or something. It would be wonderful to have you back. So on that note, I am going to turn over my time, or the remaining, to Superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Ayres and Ms. Kidby. One of the things that's kind of unique about serving in the field of education is the impact that you have, and that it actually transcends your time, whether you're serving on a board or in a classroom or as a principal. And you really don't know the impact that you have, the positive things that occur because of decisions or directions that you have set forth within an organization. So I'm confident that there's much incredible good work coming ahead of us, but that's largely due to things that we've put in motion, that this board has put in motion. And you know, it is my pleasure to serve you as a board and this community. So it's just incredible work, and just know that much of what will go on from this point forward will have been impacted by things that you all have done leading up to this point. So I thank you for that. I also thank you for being the board chair in this transition to a new superintendent and helping me break into my responsibilities here and helping me find that path. So a very personal thank you. A little bit of business coming out of the work session. We discussed moving one of our current positions to a 12-month specialist contract dedicated to focus on our SOL area, given that we have seen pretty significant growth in the past few years and an achievement gap that we believe that we need to put some additional efforts into closing. And with that, I would just like to get some direction as to the board as to that that's an okay thing for us to go ahead and proceed with.
Are there any comments about that, or even going forward? I know there'll be some additional follow-on to that, but the immediate need to go ahead and start exploring that position, is there a consensus of the board in that?
I think it's necessary.
Ms. Healy, I'm sorry.
Madam Chairman, rather than explore, I think I would just suggest that we direct the superintendent to go forward with converting that to a 12-month ESOL position and filling it, as soon as possible. Well, not filling it, but converting the position. But also bringing back to us, as soon as you can, the follow-up that you have in mind to address the world language part of that, because I want the community to know that this is not dropping out. It's just going to be coming back in another another form. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may. Sure. I think it's important too that as we go forward with this, that in this public meeting, the staff and our parents understand that our ESL population has grown exponentially over the last decade. We started 10 to 12 years ago with just a few hundred, and now we have well over 2,000 students that add so much to Stafford County Public Schools, but need so much as well. So I believe that putting some resources into additional personnel to make sure that those students are successful is in everybody's best interest.
If I could just follow on with that, a couple of the highlights that came from our meeting was actually between the time that this was prepared and by the time it was brought to us, our student number increased by 15 students. We've been increasing at potentially 300 per year, and we have over 44 languages that are in our school system, with the top 4 being Spanish, Arabic, Farsi, and Urdu. I think I'm going to say it correct. So just so that we recognize that in general as we move forward. So I believe that there's agreement with, all right. All right. I don't think we need a motion. We'll just move on. Moving on, Dr. Benson, anything else for your report?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Moving on to consent, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any removals or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to our single action item regarding the school board 2016-17 legislative priorities.
Madam Chair, these were the legislative priorities we presented in information last time. I think there was some of the information added, stating where they're from, or the VSBA support, et cetera. I would move to approve action item 9.01.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or further consideration of this item? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The legislative priorities are approved. Moving on to our first information item. This will be regarding the 2017-18 high school program of studies course catalog. Let's see, who will be coming forward?
Jan.
A bunch of people. So, I know, I almost thought about that too. So, board members, if you have specific questions, we have, as you can see, a host of preparers of this. I don't know if someone could come forward to explain any of the additions or changes. Dr. Strike, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Benson. We have a number of new courses in the high school, the proposed high school program of studies. I was tasked with this as a new member here in Stafford County Public Schools, and I have to follow up on an earlier comment by a school board member and give a number of folks on the staff. That's why there's a number of us here tonight, because I didn't have enough knowledge to stand in front of you and give you all the information on these new courses based on the history of the program of studies in our high schools. So I want to take a moment and pat some folks on the back. I wanted to start with Melanie Daniel, who's our supervisor of gifted and accelerated programs, because she managed this project and I was actually a mentee under her as we got this underway. Of course, Pam Kale, our associate superintendent, Tom Nichols, secondary chief academic officer, Dinah Robinson, who plays a key part in some of the proposed new CTE courses that we have. And there are members of the Learning and Organization, newly titled Learning and Organizational Staff, here to answer some of your questions. So I will just be facilitating any questions that you have, and we're going to ask those folks to come forward. The other piece that I wanted to add for all of you this evening is we use the process of sitting down with our high school principals, so I want to credit them, and high school counselors as we went through the high school program of studies this year in preparation for bringing this forward this evening. And we also did some analysis on the impact these new courses, these proposed courses would have on the FY18 budget and of course future budgets. So if you have any questions about specific courses, if you just want to ask us, and I will certainly make sure we have our contacts come forward who are prepared to answer any of your questions, but also offer some analysis.
We have just a quick question.
Sure.
Mr. Hirons mentioned the geospatial technology program being offered at Stafford High School. Is that the only school it's being offered at, or are there going to be multiple schools that are going to have it?
I'd like to bring Dinah Robinson up to explain the geospatial and the future of the program, because there's components to it. I think it's important to look at that.
Stop stealing our program.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Benson. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell you all about our new proposed geospatial program. Right now, we're planning on piloting it at Stafford High School. It is a part 1, part 2, so it would be a 2-year pilot to complete both pieces. And then after that, we can review and see if it can be expanded into the other high schools, which I would like to see it do. But it's all about cost. So I don't know if you have specific questions I can answer for you regarding the geospatial.
How do we determine what school is going to get these pilot programs?
The geospatial one, actually with the removal of the stat engineering program from Stafford High School, I was requested by Dr. David White at the time to come up with a program for Stafford High School, tech ed program. So together we worked with Mr. Lewis and Mr. White and I, geospatial technology, to be something new the county could use with the employment data that we've got. There's a growing trend in this area. There's also a possible partnership with James Madison University that we want to pursue for dual enrollment credit with our students. In addition to the geospatial, we recommend a basic engineering program, the engineering studies, engineering exploration, which we already teach at 2 of our high schools. We would like to see that added to Stafford High School so that they have a full tech ed program of engineering and geospatial.
What are the other 2 high schools that are?
That does
the engineering.
The 2 courses I just mentioned, Mountain View and Colonial Forge.
Okay. Thank you.
This is the program to replace the stat program that we had at Stafford High School. Mr. McOsker and I really lobbied David White, and it flowed down to get another program back into that school.
Gotcha.
And so it's our program. Stop stealing.
Mrs. Healy.
Madam Chairman, I'm excited that we're adding a dual enrollment course to our course catalog, because I think dual enrollment is an excellent opportunity for our students to get college credits.
I'm very excited
in
about
high
this
school.
program.
So that's, I'm looking forward to that program evaluation of this one and seeing if we can, in fact, move it to other schools, because I would be absolutely shocked if there were not a demand for this particular program, giving the curriculum and the interest of students and our community, for this in other schools as well.
If I may, I'd like to share a personal story. I have twins who are seniors this year at James Madison University, and they are majoring in geographic science. And that's actually how I found out about the Geospatial Academy, because they're part of that, working with the community. They both have internships. I know that there are tons of jobs out there, thank goodness. So that's kind of how I got started with the geospatial piece.
Mrs. Kidby.
I also wanted to thank you for including cybersecurity in the STAT program. My oldest son is part owner of a firm that works with technology and government contracts, and one of their greatest needs is finding people that are qualified to handle the cybersecurity end of technology development. And it's very, very difficult to find people. It's just beginning to emerge as a degree that you can find in some of our universities here in the Commonwealth. And so introducing this at a high school level will allow students to move into those areas which are very high demand right now. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just wanted to say, on the other end of the spectrum, the barbering 1, 2, and 3 is
Yes.
great. I mean, we are meeting the needs of students across the board, and that's what we're about. So we have these, high-tech kind of courses that will have a certain audience, and we have another audience. The Marine Corps is fantastic. I'm so excited to have that at Mountain View, that program. But the barbering, I know I've heard comments from people about the cosmetology programs and, why do you have those? And I think it's important. I mean, I go to the hair cuttery or the Great Clips or, all these local places and over half the time somebody cuts my hair that was trained in one of our schools. So I'm glad, and it's important that when we introduce new programs that we do go across the spectrum. So this is really exciting to see this range, that we have here, and that we really are trying to provide something for someone, no matter, where their interests lie on the educational spectrum. And the ones who are going to, go immediately into the workforce or go into the armed services or go on to higher education.
If I may, I'd like
you.
to share some employment information regarding the barbering and cosmetology, because a lot of people feel like, well, why do we have so many programs in that, what's the employment like? So I did some research, and through the labor of the Bureau of Labor, their employment outlook said that that area is projected to grow 10% from 2014 to 2024, faster than the average of all occupations, because they are replacing those who are leaving that occupation. Because it's not just about working in a salon. A lot of these students go on to own their own business. They do go on to a 2-year college and get associates in business or whatever, or even further sometimes. And they work in areas like mortuaries. They work in senior living facilities. They work in the entertainment industry. So it's not just about working in a salon.
So,
Mr. McOsker.
So just a comment on the career and technical education. I think it's we have a lot of things like on page 84. There's lists and lists and lists of things, and that technical certification that's assigned to our programs. I think we really need to keep pushing that. We're doing a wonderful job, but those technical certifications are really the ones that are going to take that student from 12th grade, or sometimes they're starting to get them on 11th grade, and like the masonry folks, and come on, work for me for the summer. But those technical certifications, I think we really need to take a good look at those and make sure that if we can get one, let's get one. And I know you're doing a wonderful job with it, but that is really where that piece of paper means a lot.
Mr. McOsker, we'll be sharing some information about how we're doing with that when we take a look at some of our student achievement data this evening.
Yep, it's coming.
We also, of course, Mr. Nichols and I have been working with the county for the firefighters program. We're very excited about that. Hopefully, if all goes well between negotiations, we will be offering a firefighting 1 and firefighting 2. It will hopefully be held at their training facility, so our students will travel there. It will be for juniors and seniors, and of course, you have to be a certain age when you start the program. So there are specific qualifications that students will have to have and meet. But we're very excited. We've met several times with Chief Doyle from the County Fire and Rescue Department, so we are working on that as well.
I'd just like to give a shout out. I serve with Ms. Robinson. The CTE committee has really started to look at that and been supportive of trying to find some of these opportunities, making sure we have that broad spectrum. And again, it just reiterates, it's so great to get that community input on our advisory committees because so many doors can open. You never know who knows somebody, and just, it's really been a great experience. And I just want to highlight these are amazing things that we offer for our kids. So.
I think the last time we talked about this, that I had asked if there was a way that we were tracking to see how many of our graduates that participated in prior firefighting classes that actually stayed in the county. As you continue to talk with the fire and rescue folks, could you maybe mention to them that, especially now that we're doing program evaluations and things like that, that would be good information for us to have, how many of these folks who are enrolling in the fire, fire 1 and 2 are staying with the county and reinvesting their education into Stafford County.
Certainly
so just
will.
something to think about.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, any further questions for anybody? All right, let's move along to 10.02 for information. This is about the superintendent's proposed revisions to regulation, let's see, 5906 and 5906E1 regarding work hours and payment procedures for staff during emergency closing situations. Are there any questions regarding this, or, no? Yes, yes, okay.
Do we have cost estimates that come with this?
Thank you for hearing me out here. What I would like to explain about this is really this is formalizing a procedure that is already taking place. So there just happens to be every year questions from a couple of locations about it, and the maintenance staff has been asking for some time to have this included in the policy so that the payment structure that we're currently using is more formalized so that we can point to that. And so really there will not be an additional cost per se to this because it is what is occurring already.
But doesn't it say we're going to pay overtime?
We are currently doing that. This is really, honestly, it's just simply putting into policy the payment procedures that are currently in place. They just do not exist in policy and regulations at this point.
So it's already built into the budget?
It's already built into the budget and has been for some time.
Any questions?
I think it's wonderful. I think that's exactly what we need to be doing, is putting this stuff in writing, and then we can.
And it's directly in line with how the county is paying their emergency personnel as well. So we did check on that as well and checked with surrounding school divisions to see that we're, doing the same thing that most of the other ones are.
All right. All right. Moving on to something we've alluded to a couple times is our information from our work session that we discussed a little bit more in depth, the program evaluation proposal. There were a few things noted at that time. What I would propose this evening is, if there are additional either thoughts, ideas, or something, why don't we kind of list them here, so that when it's brought forward again, those can be incorporated. Was there anything specific?
Wasn't there a suggestion to add a financial impact component out of the work session?
So no,
if
you don't, yeah, that wasn't me, but I'll go quickly. So I read the program evaluation, the in-depth piece, and the other one, and I think it's a wonderful idea. The only thing, if we're going to as a board, my thought on it, and please take feedback from anybody. My thought on it is that if we are going to approve a process, that maybe we have, certain metrics or criteria built into each of our bubbles. That's all. Just like we do on the strat plan. Here's our idea for this bubble. Evaluate financial impacts, and then it's we look at this. We look at this, we look at this, we look at this. Now, there may be more or less depending on what but these are the minimum criteria that we evaluate that process bubble with. If it's a student achievement bubble somewhere, or it's a different bubble, we have different criteria that at a minimum, we look at this. Maybe it's a success rate that's in accordance with our strat plan. So it all nests together. So that was my comment. I don't have any problem with the process as it's laid out. I just think as we move forward, we put that that skeleton up there to say, hey, we're probably going to look at these 10 things on each of these bubbles, and then we'll add and subtract as we see as the program sees fit. So that was my just my thought on the process.
Okay, any other comments or additions? Ms. Healy, any?
Madam Chairman, I know we're not going to be doing any kind of evaluation without considering financial impact, so that's clear. My concern was, and maybe, are these the bubbles you were referring to? Well, I mean, my concern was that there be somewhere right up front that it show that is going to be a consideration, because it's got to be a consideration. We're in reality. I mean, we can only afford so much. So more of it is from my standpoint, a presentation that if someone is looking at the program evaluation process we're going to follow, and this is an incredible, work that has been put together, that they not have to come back and say, but, what about the cost? It's in there. I mean, it's definitely in there, but if there's, and this is just my personal opinion, if y'all don't agree, then, don't even consider it. But I think it would be helpful, because we are, as a board, very much concerned about fiscal responsibility, fiscal accountability, and making sure we get the best bang for the buck that we have, for our schools, so that we can make things better for our kids and get the most that we can. And that's what I see as an incredible benefit we're going to have when you put this in place. That we can do some evaluations, and it's not going to be, there's not going to be that it can't cost more than X amount of dollars, because there may be some things that we are going to have to, to spend more on, because that cost benefits, that who mentioned the ROI, return on investment. There's going to be certain needs that the ROI may not be what we'd like to see generally, but to be the school system we want to be, we need to provide those opportunities. But I'd like to see somewhere in here, whether it's in the bubble or, in the process, or even in a footnote or an explanation, that the cost is an important, factor, to be considered, whenever we're evaluating, because it's got to be. It has to be.
All right, any other additions or suggestions?
I do have a quick one. This kind of goes back to Ms. McOsker's, I think, metric. It can be part of the metric evaluation. In the page 18, it goes through the process and goes through a list of questions. And one of them is, does the proposed program align with and support the goals of expressed in the strategic plan? A part of that, or an additional question, or in addition to that question, is the how. How does it affect the strategic plan, or how does it feed into the strategic plan? Because I think that's kind of a part of important evaluation of metric. If it's only hitting one goal, the value may not be very high if it costs a lot. Because we do need to know the cost, absolutely. And part of the evaluation of, is the cost worth it? And if it's only hitting one goal, is it an important goal within the strategic plan, or does it hit across the board on the goals of the strategic plan? it's probably going to be a lot more valuable to us as a whole. And how do we expect that to affect the metrics within the strategic plan? Is this going to move the needle on our strategic plan metrics? Yeah, a lot of words there. I didn't really give you exact
We got
skeleton there, but hopefully I gave you a box that you can play with.
Yep.
All right. I would just want to say, for the benefit of anybody that wasn't at the work session, even though we seem to be adding to it, the tremendous amount of work put into this product is amazing. How we've compared that. We're just not trying to say, well, how do school systems do it? We went beyond that. We looked at how some certain government programs are evaluated and looked at a broad model. And I truly appreciate that, because I think any time that we're doing outside the box thinking and saying, well, does the school environment have the only answers? And the answer many times is no. So even though tonight, right here, we're sort of picking the additional things,
Yep.
I just would like to say to the staff, this was a tremendous work product. And I am thrilled that we will have something that we can point to for current programs, anything new we want to add, and going forward. And I do want to encourage the board that we will have this as part of our policy, at least broadly saying we will evaluate programs in the future. Shall.
Yeah,
Yes,
shall
right.
is the legal.
Shall.
And part of my comments earlier were thinking about you two, you come up in front of the board, you work your tail off and you start poking holes, and that's not the intent. And it's just, it's a little bit of understanding on at least for me, it's a little bit of understanding on what's going on, and then it's a little bit of, maybe experience doing this stuff in other venues for my 3 or 4 years working this kind of stuff, right? So.
Which brings that. So, all right, enough to work with so we can bring back. Dr. Benson, do you have any questions of us of what we just said?
No, I think we're good, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, ladies, and thank you for your work session presentation. Moving on to our staff reports, our strategic plan student achievement update. See, you didn't even get to move, Dr. Parrish.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, school board members, and Dr. Benson. It is my pleasure to stand before you to present Stafford County Public Schools Strategic Plan Student Achievement Update. Over the past year, Stafford County Public Schools has embarked on a new path with the development of a new strategic plan. Within this plan, you, the board, have provided priorities that serve as a guide to our key strategies and monitoring metrics. Tonight, I will provide the board updates regarding our progress towards those priorities, specifically student achievement. During my presentation to the board regarding the strategic planning monitoring metrics, I highlighted a web-based application that would assist us in tracking our progress to the board and our community. I will take a few moments to provide a demonstration of this application. So as you can see, there's a login system. And let me just highlight that each board member will receive login credentials to this application. As you can see, we have begun our process with our goals. And I want to go a little bit deeper here and show you how this system tracks our priorities, our key strategies, and our monitoring metrics. And of course, we have 4 goals, and I'm going to concentrate on student achievement right now. But as you can see, for each of our monitoring metrics, there is an interface that allows us to update our progress on these metrics. As you can see, I made an update a few days ago, and I proposed it as on track. As you can see here, there's a space for assigned to users, so it is assigned to me, and I assigned it to myself. And there's a quarterly update that's required. In addition, I provided some data to kind of back up my status of being on track. One of the great things about this system is in real time. So I know one of the concerns was being able to allow our community members to track how we're doing on our goals. Through this application, the board can identify the goals that you want to provide updates to the community, and we can build a widget, and I'm not as tech savvy, but it's called a widget. And through that widget, we provide our community members real-time progress. So if I make a change within one of these strategies, it automatically updates the website. So there's no time where staff has to go in and update the website. The widget will do that for us. Okay? In addition to that, we have a few status updates that we can select from: on track, off track, at risk, achieved, not achieved, or canceled for any reason. Dr. Benson has given a directive to all staff, regardless of the status update, they are to provide justification for that status update. So it's very, very clear. Ms. Neely, thank you for providing your update. She get. We did. We have a lot. So I really appreciate their work, but it's a very user-friendly system. Staff doesn't even have to log into the system. Once we identify what the updates would be, the system will send staff emails to update their different areas. So it's a very robust system. And this is really an upgrade, a true upgrade from the work we did in the past on Excel spreadsheets and staff having to update their work on that. So we're very, very excited about it. As you can see, just want to point out communications. Johnson has done some of her updates as well. I appreciate that.
Johnson's updates look a little thin. So is that an update?
That's an update.
Oh, that is a good one. All
Yeah,
right,
it's
I'm
a good
sorry.
update.
Sorry, Ms. Johnson.
So, as I said before, the board will have login credentials, and no need to worry. Unless you are assigned to a certain goal, you will only be able to view the plan. You won't be able to edit it, okay? So there should be no surprises for anyone when we make updates to the strategic plan, okay? And we have unlimited access for contributors, meaning anyone who needs to make an update can make an update. Right now, Dr. Benson and myself are the full admin users, but we hope in the near future to add other plans to this system, and not just a strategic plan. So Mr. Hiron, if he wants to add a plan on building a new Moncure school, he can definitely put that plan in there. We can track the progress of that.
So while we only have 2 administrative licenses, we can assign to any staff member in the organization. So and then they're responsible for tracking progress on that particular strategy or metric.
Man.
Can I just say how much I just love that you're so tech savvy. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah, Mrs. Kidby. I'm going to assume that this was a purchased
It was.
program. And it's not unique to education?
It's not.
Okay.
And that was one of the questions that the staff had, was what other school divisions are utilizing this application? And in Virginia, I think, and don't quote me, but I think we're probably the first ones in Virginia, and very few across the nation that is using this. This application is mostly used in, healthcare organizations and business organizations.
May I ask how you sought it out? What was the process you used to evaluate different programs that were available?
Yeah, so, daily staff, and I know other staff can speak to this, we get a lot of vendors calling us about different products that they want to bring to the division. Sure. And usually I delete them or I don't answer the phone when they call. But it was something about this one that caught my eye. And then I had a pre-planning meeting with the rep, and then I took it to Dr. Benson. And he was super excited.
Yeah,
I think he jumped up and down a little bit when we reviewed it, so he was excited.
Looks like it's going to be able to meet our needs on several levels, not only the construction and strategic plan, but I'm sure we're going to find other applications as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say to that, early on in my service when I met with Dr. Benson, of course, the strategic plan has always been really important to me, and I pointed out a specific division that really was the only one, I think in Virginia at the time, was reporting their strategic plan in real time. And so thanks to both of you for catching us up to them. And this is what every Fortune 100, 500 corporation does. I can go to my company's website and I can find this exact information. I can very easily figure out how well the company is doing. They push it all the way down to us, to our program level, which is sometimes kind of annoying, but because you have to put those updates in.
Right.
But this is going to add so much value to what we do and our visibility with the entire county community, both our citizens and our board of supervisors, to be able to really demonstrate how we're doing on a moment's notice. Thanks.
Any more questions about this particular program?
I did want to say, don't worry about actually knowing what the words mean. As IT project managers, you never know what the words mean. You let those guys, the smart guys, know what they are. You just listen for the vocabulary, and you get the widgets, the thingamadoos, and the WYSIWYGs, and they'll figure it out, what you mean. They might say something behind your back, but they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Any more questions about the application? So I'm going to go ahead and move forward to our student achievement update. As the state of Virginia transitions to the newly authorized Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015, which I refer to as ESSA, federal and measurable objectives, AMOs, will not be reported for the 2016-17 school year, but divisions continue to be accountable under the state accreditation system. According to the Virginia Department of Education State Accreditation Report, all 30 schools in Stafford County earned the highest accreditation rating of fully accredited for the 2016-2017 school year. Stafford County Public Schools is the largest division in the state of Virginia that has a designation of fully accredited. As you can see from this chart, of the 29 SOL tests, Stafford County Public Schools equaled or exceeded the state on 27 SOL tests. We did fall below the state by 1 point for grade 3 reading and end of course chemistry. I would like to remind the board that the SOLs are the minimum baseline benchmarks our students should be meeting. Even though we continue to show progress with SOL scores, our students are capable of much more than minimum, and it's our duty to ensure that they soar beyond. The Every Student Succeeds Act places an increased emphasis on the type of services and length of services LEAs are required to provide to English learners. Over the past 20 years, Stafford County Public Schools has experienced a 1,600% increase of students who require services as English learners. Our data displays an increase of approximately 200 to 300 students per year, and we just received the update tonight, as you all did, 2,060 students in the 2016-17 school year. The next chart displays the proficiency levels of our English learners during the 2015 school year. This data is based on the WIDA assessment that is administered to all English learners to identify the levels of services needed. We have a high number of students who require services based on proficiency levels from developing to reaching. ESSA requires LEAs to monitor English learners for 4 years after exiting from services. This will require us to rethink the types of resources needed to ensure these students are serviced and gain access to the curriculum. The data presented thus far has been state-level achievement data and does not provide a clear picture of how we are preparing our students for college and career readiness. The next data points will provide us a clearer picture of how our students are progressing on a national level. In 2015-16, 2,082 students took at least one AP exam, which is 23% of our total high school population. That calculates to 1 out of 4 students participating in at least one AP exam. As you can see, there is a clear difference in the number of students taking at least one AP exam by school. The next graph disaggregates the data by race and ethnicity. Out of the 23% of our students participating in one AP exam, approximately 2.5 out of 5 are white, while approximately 1 out of 5 are minority. The following charts display the number of students participating in the International Baccalaureate IB program at Brook Point High School and Mountain View High School. At Brook Point High School, 103 students took 250 exams, with 165 or 66% earning a score of 4 or higher in the 2015-16 school year. At Mountain View High School, 213 students took 456 exams, with 369 or 81% earning a score of 4 or higher in the 2015-16 school year. Out of the total populations at Brook Point High School and Mountain View High School, 9% of students took at least one IB exam. Both AP and IB courses offer our students more challenging curriculums. So let's see how our students are performing on nationally normed tests such as SAT and ACT. In the 2015-16 school year, 1,394 Stafford County Public Schools seniors took the SAT reasoning test. The class of 2016 posted mean scores of 520 in critical reading, 513 in mathematics, 486 in writing, for a composite score of 1519 out of a possible 2,400. We see a 2-point decrease in critical reading from the previous year. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We see a 6-point decrease in mathematics. And we see a 6-point decrease in writing. Our scores were equal to the state mean scores in critical reading, but fell below in mathematics and writing. Overall, our SAT scores have remained stagnant. The data suggests that we must change our instructional methodology within our classrooms to ensure all students have critical thinking opportunities. Our division has supported this effort for the second year by administering the PSAT 8-9 to all 8th and 9th grade students and the PSAT NMSQT to all 10th and 11th grade students at no cost to our families. In addition, our students also participated in a College Board digital pilot of the SAT, which was available to every 12th grade student at no cost. Because of the partnership between College Board and Khan Academy, Stafford County Public School students will have the full access to individual educational tools and other college and career access materials. This resource is also extended to our teachers and parents, ensuring a community focus on student achievement. An additional nationally norm assessment our students participate in is the SAT.
Madam Chair, can I ask a quick question while we're there? I'm sorry to interrupt the presentation.
Okay.
But do the scores that those students are receiving when we're doing it school-wide, are those feeding into those numbers there? Okay, so couldn't...
Which scores are you talking about?
The PSAT, SAT scores that...
Not into those numbers, that's strictly SAT.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the SAT that all students now are taking, 11th and 12th grade?
They do take it 11th and 12th
They
grade.
feed into those
Yes.
scores?
Yes.
So couldn't the expectation be our score may drop a little because we have a lot more students taking them and students that may not have taken SATs?
What we hope will happen, we started testing our 8th graders 2 years ago with the PSAT 8-9. They are now 10th graders. So we're hoping that once, we're hoping with the new tools that we have through Khan Academy that we'll be able to increase our mean scores for the SAT for those students and then have kind of a trickle effect going forward.
Okay.
So with Khan Academy, students taking the PSAT in 8th grade, their strengths and weaknesses will follow them and matriculate through high school. And teachers will be able to pinpoint what areas of weaknesses they have and what are their strengths. So we're pretty confident that through this new methodology of offering it earlier,
Right.
that will allow students
And
to progress.
And the only thing I'm concerned about, we see this drop, and as I attributed to, we have these more number of students taking the SATs, and I agree with you on the PSAT, and it's, my kids hate it, but I'm very happy as a parent that it's there. So shouldn't we be rebaselining there as those students are coming through, because all of their counterparts behind them are going to be doing the same thing, but their counterparts up in front of them, the 11th and 12th graders now haven't.
Right. So, I mean, we may see a decrease, and that's just normal data. When you have more kids taking a certain test or a certain assessment, you might see a drop, but we hope that we don't see a drop because we're putting tools in place to assist students to build on their strengths.
Well, and it's more than just exposing kids to the SAT and ACT tests. Even prior to our initiative in increasing access to the assessments, our scores were hovering right at the state average, and they shouldn't be. I mean, we should be doing better than that. And so when you compare then how we're doing with those scores, and you look at the participation rates in other divisions, we've got, when you look at divisions that have similar demographics to ours, we are underperforming. We can do better. But exposure is part of it. The other part of it is these are reasoning tests, right? They're analytical in nature. We need to ensure that our kids, all kids, kindergarten through grade 12, have the opportunities to work that way in classrooms. And that will help us improve our scores. I don't want us to go down a path of test prep, because you could do that. You could do test prep and you probably could get your scores up. What we want is good quality instruction that increases cognitive demand in our classrooms for all of our kids, and those scores will go up.
Have we looked at our class sizes with respect to this? Because I know over the past few years, our middle and high school math classes, I know Mrs. Kidby and I have visited some classes that were way too big. And of course, we as a board wanted to focus on English, bringing down the size of the English classes. Last year we weren't able to, but hopefully we'll look at that in the next, budget round. But I think that's something we need to look at. I mean, methodology, of course, is very important, and I agree with you. It starts, when they first come to us at age 5. But I think class size, is also an important factor in this. And I'm disappointed not in our staff, because I know they're doing absolutely everything they can, but I'm disappointed that, we haven't provided the resources we need to make these scores go up, because I agree with you, we should be doing better. But this is not a reflection on our teachers, not at all our administrators. I know they're doing everything they can, and the support staff as well. But I think, it's something that we as a board need to keep in mind when we are making those budget decisions and looking at it. We made a lot of headway last year with the elementary school class sizes, and maybe this is a wake-up call that we need to start looking at the at the middle and high, particularly in these areas where we are falling behind.
I certainly endorse what Ms. Healy is saying in terms of class size. It does have an impact. Class size has an impact in student learning across the board. But having been a high school math teacher, that opportunity to work in a different way than just cranking out an algorithm is critical for an SAT or an ACT exam. The exams have changed significantly since we took them a little while back, and they are the types of, at least mathematical questions that they ask require a student to be able to think mathematically on their feet. And that's not just cranking out a problem. So we absolutely need to change our methodology, make sure we give students that opportunity to be able to think mathematically in various ways, so that when they approach that, it's not unique, it's not strange to them. Otherwise, they're thrown for a loop when they see these questions, because they've always just been given a problem and crank out the answer. That's not what the SAT is anymore. So I agree with you. I think class size is always important, because in order to be able to teach that way, you have to allow the students to collaborate, and if the class is too big, that's very, very difficult to do. But I do think that the methodology that we use within the classroom, the approach that we use with the students is critical when it comes particularly to math. I can't speak as well to English, but I certainly can speak to math.
Madam Chair. So I hate to keep you up here too much. So I'd just like to say what a wonderful program or initiative it was for the paid SAT. And I want to say that paid PSAT, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to just say that to the board that, it may come to us as a cost, or, I have heard from constituents, why are you spending this money on this? But I think it's such a wonderful experience to first, like Dr. Benson said, we first introduce the kids to SATs, and here's the test, because it's a unique test, and it always changes, as Ms. Kidby said, every year. But it's a unique test, and it's just the comfort level and being able to evaluate whether that's going to be the school coordinator, or that's going to be the teacher, or that's going to be a coordinator up here evaluating, how are we doing against that PSAT, whether we take it 1 or 2. But I think that's money very well spent. I'll leave the reasoning and the teaching methodology to you and your staff, but I just wanted to get that plug in there, and because my children especially benefited from it greatly. That first, oh darn, you got to go to school and take a PSAT. Well, it's good. It's good.
Okay, so we're going to move on to ACT scores here. In 2016, 410 seniors took the ACT exam, which was a 7% decrease from 2015 senior class. And I just want to say this is the first time we've reported on ACT scores in this student achievement update. The class of 2016 posted 22.9 in English, 22.8 in mathematics, 24.4 in reading, and 23.0 in science. Again, Stafford County Public Schools scores have remained flat, which is definitely not a reflection of the capabilities of our students. Now I would like to present our career and technical education program data, which will speak to the level of preparedness of our students entering the workforce. In the 2015-16 school year, 3,275 students earned 1 or more industry credentials. 91% of our CTE completers passed their industry certification test. Stafford County Public Schools had the highest number of students earning an industry credential at 44% when lined up with our 9 comparison divisions.
Should we say that one again?
Is this Albemarle really 5%? That's amazing. We're 44?
That was Dr. Benson's section over there at Albemarle.
Okay.
I appreciate that, Ms. Healy.
Based on Stafford County Public Schools 2014-2015 CTE Annual Performance Report, and this report is a year behind, okay, from the state. This was the first time in over 3 years that our special populations met all required performance levels. We did not meet the standard for students entering non-traditional career preparation, and that means females going into barbering or males going into nursing. Here are some of our CTE industry credential areas. As you can see, we have quite a few. As you can see, we are making strides in providing our students a foundation of success as they enter the workplace. But there is still work to do to ensure that our programs are providing the workplace readiness skills needed for our students to be productive contributors to our workforce. One of the greatest milestones in a child's life is to graduate from high school. Stafford County Public Schools' on-time graduation rate for the class of 2016 was 92.9%, compared to 92.4% for the class of 2015. Even though we continue to make progress, there is much more progress to be made. In the past years, having a high school diploma was sufficient to support yourself and your family, but as the demands of our workforce continues to expand, our students must be prepared to meet those demands. The data points presented tonight are just a small fraction of the monitoring metrics the board has identified within our strategic plan. The plan is not just a roadmap to increase the success of our students, but it is a new way of thinking. We are utilizing a new tool, which is Achieve It, and we plan to implement a new program evaluation system once the board has approved it. This will guide our steps in redefining our definition of engaging, challenging, and preparing every student for success.
On this chart.
Sure.
Wonderful presentation, since I'm not going to come back on and say that. On the chart for the graduation rate, would that be the high school principals? Are they feeding that into Tom? Are they, Mr. Nichols? Are they feeding that into you? Why? Why are the students not making that graduation rate? Is somebody monitoring that? Okay. Okay. All right.
Any other board comments before I'll make mine? First, I want to say I know that this kind of document is a monstrous undertaking, but how any board can make the best decision is best made on the best information. And so I truly appreciate the people who like to add all this stuff up, because unlike Ms. Kidby, that is not my strength. But it's for the decision makers to be able to see the big trends. And it seems like we've identified some of our areas. And I think we as a school system have to be able to say the great things that we did, which we saw some of those. And we have to also say, wow, this is something that we aren't trending. But the only way we can attack something is if we know about it.
Right.
And you know, if I see 5,000 graphs, but I don't get the big picture, and sometimes, but you've presented it. And I feel like we need to be honest, we need to say it, and then we as a board need to embrace it. We're coming up on budget, we know what's coming. The next report that we're going to receive may give us some additional guidance. So I truly appreciate the hard work. I know it's a team to get all of this work together. And we have work to do, but that's okay. At least we know where we want to be. Ms. Kidby.
Is this information available to our community online on our website?
It is on Board Docs, yes.
Okay, it's on Board Docs?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Ms. Kidby, it's also included in Achieve It, so we'll be working on making elements of that available through our website as well, but we don't have that configured yet, but it is available through Board Docs.
Yeah, I'm not the only numbers nerd, you know, in the community, so the other folks that would like to see this, yeah.
If there's nothing further, if I would say to the board, let's take a 5-minute break before we get the class size report, so us number people can clear our head. So 5 minutes, everybody, and we'll be back, and we will look at class size. Thank you. Well, Mrs. Gale, now that we're all happy with our chocolate, come on up.
He probably got him from our office. He got him from our office, probably. I'm going to take credit. We have chocolate everywhere.
That's right.
That's right. Dim the lights. I need a glass of milk. This class size
If you
report
give a
is gonna
mouse
be
a
even
cookie.
better. All right. Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, school board members, and Dr. Benson. I'm very excited tonight to provide you Stafford County Public Schools 2016-2017 high school class size report. Our high school class size report is based on student enrollment in core and elective classes as of September 30th, 2016. Please note, though, that last year's report
even though we're comparing data, we're not giving out chocolate anymore, I'm just saying.
That's what he said. Watch out. Okay. All right. Stop.
I'm joking. All right.
Order. I
All
heard
right.
you.
Once again, student enrollment is based on the core and elective classes as of September 30th, 2016. Got the year right. Please note that last year's data was based on student enrollment as of October 30th, 2015. So that is a difference, even though we are going to use it as a comparison later, so just note that's the difference. The following high school information is included: average class size for each school, frequency of class sizes, and school comparison by the number of students in each class. Throughout this presentation, it's important for you to view our current core and elective class sizes through the lens of our school administrators and scheduling staff. As they attempt to balance the needs of students and capabilities of their staff, the reality is that creating and balancing schedules is a complex process that requires a focus of continuous improvement. Please keep in mind that our school administrators strive to meet the varying needs of all of our students' scheduling requests. The scheduling process is complicated by numerous singleton classes and diverse program requirements. For example, some courses are only offered once during the year. Some are needed to make sure that students have the opportunity to participate in the upper levels of world language or complete their courses in CTE, classes JROTC, AP, Governor School, DE, and IB. We'll start tonight with a core class comparison. These courses include English, mathematics, social studies, science, and world languages. And please note, in the attachments we have more detailed analysis, but we're giving the basic totals for you. Based on the average daily membership as of September 30th, 2016, the total number of high school students was 9,326. The average division core class size is 22.5, ranging from 21.6 at North Stafford High School to 23.2 at Stafford High School. The average high school core class size decreased from 23.5 in 2015-16 to 22.5 in 2016-17. Now please note, that's pretty cool considering that we know we had an emphasis on elementary for staffing standards. At the same time, we know that you all tried to get, for example, English, et cetera. We were able to hire 2 English teachers for compliance. But also, this was a lot due to the scheduling process we used this year, and schools were better able to balance their class sizes and to use their existing staff more efficiently. Please note that the totals do not include an additional 0.8 FTE provided to Mountain View High School after this data was collected to cover mathematics, English, and social studies. The 0.8 FTE will be utilized second semester. This chart displays class span data. There are 398 classes with 20 or fewer students, ranging from 71 at Brook Point High School to 93 at Stafford High School. The number of classes with 20 or fewer students increased from 369 in 2015-16 to 398 in 2016-17. There are 909 classes with 21 to 27 students, ranging from 132 at Mountain View High School to 221 classes at Colonial Forge High School. The number of classes with 21 to 27 students increased from 878 in 2015-16 to 909 in 2016-17. And of course, these are your optimal class sizes. There are 447 classes with 28 or more students, ranging from 61 at Stafford High School to 109 at Colonial Forge High School. The number of classes with 28 or more decreased from 508 in 2015-16 to 447 in 2016-17. So the 28 or more students decreased by 61 classes. Once again, it goes back to the scheduling and our administrators working extremely hard. This graph displays that the majority of our classes have the 21 to 27 students, which I mentioned earlier are the optimal class sizes. Of course, optimal would probably be lower, but for right now. The core class comparison relative frequencies chart displays a breakdown of the class span data on the previous slide. As you can see, there's an increase in the number of classes with 12 or fewer students from 42 in 2015-16 to 48 in 2016-17. Class sizes with 12 or fewer represent 2.7% of the total number of division classes, and class sizes with 28 or more represent 25.5% of the total number of division classes. There's a slight increase in the number of classes when you look at the 20 or fewer students overall. This increase is due to singleton classes, once again, students getting to those final levels, et cetera, in AP, IB, Governor School, and World Language classes. The number of classes with 28 or more decreased by 61 classes from last year, as stated earlier. And as you can see, the number of 31 or higher classes decreased tremendously. It levels off. Next, we will examine the elective class size comparison. These classes include CTE, elective English classes, fine and performing arts, health and PE, elective science classes, and elective history and social studies classes. The following data points are not included in the high school elective class size report to ensure proper representation of the elective class sizes. For example, self-contained classes size is due to compliance requirements, so they're not included in either the core or the elective. Inclusion classes, these sections have been included in the core class size report. And virtual classes, because these classes may include numerous sections in one class due to the individual nature of the online course.
Sure.
Ms. Kale,
Yes.
were these classes excluded from the data last year as well?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Everything is the same according to our data from last year, except that month, the changing of the enrollment date. And we're now making all class size reports as of 9/30, whatever year.
Mrs. Kale, if I can just mention on that, remember last year, we were still really working through this methodology and
Yes.
stuff. We want to get the information to the board's hands as early as possible, so when we discussed it, we thought, let's just go with the 30th going forward. But, so I just wanted to explain to the board that it's not for that. It was just last year, we were still getting really this process down over the last 2 years, which we're amazed that we've gotten this. But as she said, September 30 will be our date going
Since
forward.
we got on that topic, can I ask a quick question? I had a message from a teacher who, an algebra teacher, who received students from into her class because they had dropped out of stat in Governor School. And it increased her students to 31 students. She says she only has 30 desks. That, individual case may have very well worked itself out by now. I haven't followed up with her. I'm sure, Mr. Lewis is taking care of it. But my question is there a drop date for our programs for students to drop out of Governor School or stat and get into, go to the non-Governor School, non-stat programs? And if there is, does that skew this data at all in that we're not getting accurate data picture for the year? Because then we're going to hear from parents that say, we'll get an email on November 15th says, well, my kid's in a class of 32. Well, that's not what our data told us.
I'll certainly let Mr. Nichols answer the question about the drop dead date, but as far as the data for this report, obviously, as you know, we have to choose some date.
I love the baseline and picking one date.
So yes, it
I
can
just want
change,
to make
but
sure I can answer.
It can change, and of
accurately.
course, students, whether it's for an algebra class and students are collaborative in there, you would be counting all students in that classroom or people moving in, et cetera. And we certainly continue to try to monitor that as the building level principals do also. And so there's a need for desk, et cetera, I'm certain.
I guess a little bit of a follow-up, and this might be Mr. Nichols' question as well, is how much of an impact do we see from kids that fall into that category of leaving a program and going back to regular classes or general classes? Is it enough to worry about to try and do a count again later?
Answer your questions. Right now, a year-long class, they can drop up to the first marking period, depending if they're passing or failing at the time. And whether it's counting their GPA or not. And if they do that afterwards and they're failing, it could count against their GPA.
Hence, I got the message on Monday.
Yeah, and yes, and it also, sometimes we're leveling classes. A kid may be in a higher math class and feel at this point that we need to drop down to the level below that. So we make adjustments throughout the year. And in Stafford County, we have students coming in and out of our schools all the time. So these numbers are going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
So when you work on scheduling, you try to put the kids in the class that has the least number, but sometimes when you have 30 in an algebra class, but they have to have this because they came in with a certain AP or certain program, that's the only fit. So sometimes they will go up and down throughout the year.
Okay.
Thank you. Now for elective class sizes. The average division elective class size this year is 22.8, ranging from 21.9 at Stafford High School to 23.9 at Mountain View High School. The average class size decreased from 24.0 in 2015-2016 to 22.8 in 2016-2017. This year, and I've written over my, hold on one second, this is what happens when you don't bring your glasses. Exactly what happens when you write over stuff. This year, there are 210 elective classes with 15 or fewer students, ranging from 27 at Mountain View High School to 60 at Stafford High School. There are 853 elective classes with 16 to 32 students, ranging from 141 at Mountain View High School to 201 at Colonial Forge High School. There are 94 elective classes with 33 or more students, ranging from 11 at Brook Point High School to 24 at Mountain View High School and Stafford High School. There's a reduction in the number of elective classes with 15 or fewer from 232 in 2015-2016 to 210 in 2016-2017 school year. Please note that the totals include, we added a .2 FTE for emergency medical technician EMT at Colonial Forge High School and a .5 FTE for orchestra, and that was added prior. Classes with 15 or fewer decreased from 232 in 2015-2016 to 210 in 2016 to 2017. The number of classes with, sorry, I'd already stated that, so I apologize. That's because I switched my papers. The number of classes with 16 to 32 students increased from 849 in 2015 to 2016 to 853 in 2016 to 2017. The number of classes with 33 or more decreased from 97 in 2015-2016 to 94 in 2016-2017. As we look ahead, in efforts to improve high school scheduling, the Office of the Chief Secondary Officer will be working with high school administration again to complete the scheduling process. By changing our timelines, we'll be better able to forecast our needs, efficiently utilize FTEs, and hire at a time when talent is readily available. We appreciate the board's support and efforts to reduce high school class sizes in the future. As the board continues to focus on the staffing standards, we look forward to the future possibilities. One area of focus will continue to be the effective use of FTEs in scheduling practices. As a result, we ask that the board consider ensuring that all counseling directors are 12-month employees, and this would impact 3 of the 5 high schools. That request is currently in our staffing standards, and that would certainly help us as we're trying to make the timeline earlier for scheduling so that we can make changes that will better utilize our FTE positions.
Mrs. Kale, well, I'll let you finish your recommendation because I was going to.
Almost done. Certainly, we appreciate your efforts last year, for example, in striving to reduce English classes, et cetera, and as you're noting this year, the possibility of looking at not just English, but also math.
I'm going to jump in first, and I'll let you talk about that a need at the high school level, but you're feeding a whole 8th grade class into the high school level. Is there a need on the counseling side at the middle school level as well?
Yes, and we mentioned that, I think, when we did middle school class size
Okay,
report, but
just
thank you for
make sure
adding
we
that
were
again.
linking those together.
Exactly right.
If I apologize for not remembering that, but that
No,
would
but thank you
impact
for reminding.
that would impact each middle school the transition there? You said 3 out of 5.
We're
at the high
talking about the
school level.
director, yes. The reason it's 3 out of 5, we have 5 high schools.
Right.
2 directors were grandfathered in as a 12-month employee.
Okay.
And it switched back so that those coming in were 11-month, but we see the dire need to have 12-month employees.
Because the upshot is the earlier we have data of who's coming, who wants to
Exactly.
be where, who wants to take what, we can hire better and just make the
Thank
whole
you.
picture.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, that's the simple way of me. Any other questions? And we may have more as go on. What I would say to the board, and not to certainly limit any questions tonight, but if after maybe even rethinking this and looking at, we can always bring this, all of these documents to a work session, either as part of budget or separate, going forward if we sort of think on them, especially as we, and probably part of budget, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So I just want to throw that out as there's
Madam
another
Chair,
option.
on that point, one of the things I would like to make sure we have within our budget discussion information, and we may want to take this up in the FAB initially, is information about capacities at the high schools and how they would relate, if there's any way we can model or try to figure out, because kind of the simple look at and probably the initial swipe that we may want to, the methodology we may take with reducing class sizes at high school is move the distribution to the left. So we go from, the top of the bell curve right now is around 27, 28. If we say as a board we want to move that to 26, if there's any way we can get some at least decent information about what is that going to do to our capacity? Can our schools, can any of the schools handle that? Yeah, or are there specific schools that are going to be challenged, significantly challenged if we do that? The elementary schools, I think most of them, we had the space in doing what we did. I know we had a couple schools that, we had to do some things with, or, not quite reach the goal we wanted to reach because of the capacity. But our high schools, I think we're a lot more challenged, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And this
I
is
agree with
also
you.
going to be obviously a part of the redistricting conversation as well.
You're exactly right.
Budget
Mhm.
and redistricting and trying to meld them together, and then you guys will have a lot on next year when this will put together.
Thanks.
Mrs. Kidby?
I think that as we get more and more data in this regard, and we can start comparing our data from year to year, we're going to be able not only to reduce class size and better meet the needs of the students, but we're going to be able to better utilize our scheduling techniques and just utilize our real assets, the use of our buildings. Because as we go forward, we can have a better analysis of how to best schedule and utilize the buildings so that we can maximize our floor space and the physical use of all our facilities. I think it's going to be very helpful.
You're
Thank
exactly
you.
right.
I'm glad to see that we are reducing the number of classes, at least in 3 of the schools, of 33 or more students in the elective category. But on the other hand, I'm concerned that the 2 schools that did not go down, one increased by 100%, 9 to 18, not high numbers, but if my child were in that class, I would be very concerned. And the other one went from 15 to 24, which is about, 60% increase. So I would like to get at some point, not next meeting, but, some more information on these classes with 33 or more students, because there may be a reason why, they're that size. I don't need it tonight, it's late. But I'd like to follow up on that, because it's not like there's a trend, they're all going down or they're all going up. We've got 3 going down and 2 going up, and, overall, those numbers, I'm impressed. If I do the math right, Mrs. Kidby, it looks like it's about 8% of our total elective classes have 33 or more students, which is pretty impressive, considering how many classes we do have. the 1178, 94 of them. But at some point, I'd like to get that information, and if it's something we need to focus on to shift some resources or add resources, we need to have that kind of information as we, delve into the budget and where we're going to, allocate those limited additional resources. Thank you.
Not to step on Ms. Ayres' toes, but I can tell you probably the fine and performing arts would love to look at those numbers, knowing some of their requests in prior years. And and in full disclosure, I do have a violin student, so when we're rotating teachers and stuff, those classes can be larger. But
Many times it is the fine and performing arts and health and PE, but we can certainly look into that.
Right. Any further questions? Or I guess also what I would say with the board, if we have specific ones that come up and we want to share them as a board, let's do it either work session or if you share a question, I know always when
With everyone.
one member spends, it gets to the whole board. So thank you all. I know this is great work. Again, it's another one of those great reports. The best way we can make better decisions is on great data. And in the last 2 to 3 years, getting this data, I think, has helped us make better budgeting decisions going forward.
And we also need to thank Mrs. Kale and Mr. Nichols. I'm sure he had something to do with this.
Yes, he
I
did.
remember Dr. White last year was sweating when this was coming up here, but Mr. Nichols looks cool, calm, and collected.
Yes, indeed. I have to say, many things take a team, as certainly Dr. Streich was illustrating with program of studies, and that team did a fantastic job, as you can tell. But in addition, the team that worked on their class size reports, and especially the high school class size report, was a true example of a collaborative team. And they went the extra mile on everything. And yes, definitely Mr. Nichols, Lisa Boatwright in Human Resources, obviously, Dr. Elena Parrish with Assessment and Accountability, and Nicole Stewart and Tara V. in Technology deserve sainthood. Everybody worked very hard, so I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. So we will move to our next item into closed session. Madam Vice Chair, can you read us in?
Pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia, I move that the Stafford County School Board convene a closed meeting to discuss the appointment of personnel pursuant to the personnel exemption at Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now in closed session.